Okay, welcome to today's podcast. Here with Nadia Khan. How you doing, Nadia?
I'm well, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm excited today to talk about one of my favorite topics or favorite word. I'm being a little facetious here, but the word of the day and the topic of this podcast is passion. Yeah, I'll just be upfront. Fine word can mean a lot of good things. Utilized poorly and generally utilized or thought about in the wrong way. And I'll elaborate here, but passion, I'm not talking about romantic passion. I'm not talking about really passion for a sports team or whatever. I'm talking about trying to find your passion. I meet lots of young college students, young professionals, even high school kids that are just trying to figure out what's my passion. What am I passionate about? Because if I could figure out what I'm passionate about, then obviously I could, do something in that field and then be successful. And I think this is faulty thinking. Let me go down this road. Nadia, you can tell me if you agree. But yeah, a lot of times I'll ask people, what are you passionate about? And they'll give me a really vague, generic answer like, well, I'm really passionate about music. And it's kind of like, okay, yeah, music is like everything to me. That's what I'm passionate about. So I think I need to get into music as my career. And the bottom line is generally these people, if they ever do like, learn an instrument, they realize it's not as fun as they thought it would be. And it takes a lot of hard work and nothing comes of it. But I think trying to find your passion is the wrong way of going about things. First of all, just from the simple, even studying like Eastern or even Buddhist teachings, that basically the goal should be to be fine with yourself, and then you will always be okay and you'll enjoy lots of activities. But in my experience in life, if you're searching for something that's going to just drive you and make you feel passion all the time, you will be like a cat chasing its tail. You will not find it. So thoughts so far, Nadia, how am I doing on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough topic. I think the vernacular passion is used so often to young people when they're taught about let's find what you want to do. What's your future? What are you passionate about?
Find what you're passionate about, and you'll never
be?
work a day in your life. That kind of
Right.
thing.
But the hard thing about passion is that you can't measure something like that. And honestly, I don't think many people know how to define it either. For me, I love what I do. I love the people I get to work with. And I just mean in a general everyday sense, not even in a career sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't describe anything that I do as doing it with an intense, raging passion, right? It's important to me, and I understand why it's important to me, and treating people well and working hard. But very rarely am I guess the way that I would describe that sort of passion would be throwing my heart and soul and physical form into this one thing, if that makes sense.
Exactly. And let me be clear here. I'm not implying that there are not certain fields that are more fitted to someone's interests or desires or their passions, and that they should, it doesn't matter. Obviously, if you're interested in certain things, you should pursue careers that way. However, the reason I don't like the word passion is I see so many people use it as a sort of a rationalization for one of two things. First one is constantly just looking for a shiny object, hopping around, trying to find something that kind of fills them with this passion. And it's, once again, it's a never ending rabbit hole to go down, because there will always be something that if somebody has that high of a standard towards, they don't want to do anything unless they feel this burning passion, they're never going to do anything. Or they're just going to keep hopping around. But the second one I already kind of referenced, and I think passion causes a lot of procrastination within people.
Well, passion is weird too, because you can, people who are typically good at things, like who excel when they start things and things just come easily to them. I think it's really easy to forget all the work that leads up to that. And so, like you were saying, people tend to, when moving from one thing to the next, forget all the time and the effort that they put into this prior thing. And they expect to find that sort of fulfillment in the next thing immediately.
And actually, what I was going to reference is, I think if somebody, once again, ideally, somebody would be always doing things they're passionate about, but the way to find, I guess, your passion, rather than hopping around or not doing anything, it would be to go jump into lots of things that are challenging or semi-interesting versus putting off doing anything. I'll give an example. I was talking to somebody actually just 2 days ago who has always wanted to be an entrepreneur and start a business. And he's been talking about it for like 2 years. And he's like, I just need to find something I'm passionate about or something that I really, it really burns me to the core. And he's been reading books and thinking about it for 2 years and nothing's happened. And my advice, which I'm not sure if it was effective or not, was I gave him a bunch of names of friends I have in all different fields that know lots of people. And I was like, why don't you just go start meeting some people that are starting businesses or have been successful? You can learn from their successes, learn from their failures, and also just talking to different people, you'll hear different ideas. You'll become inspired that way rather than sitting around waiting for like a metaphorical burning bush to come in front of you and find your your passion. And so that's the thing. The word is overused. It's often a rationalization for either not doing anything or just always looking for something that makes one feel better instantly. And anything you do, there's going to be a lot of trials and a lot of ups and downs, some obstacles. And so, yeah. I mean, two examples I think of are I meet so many freshman college students that tell me they're passionate about becoming a doctor and they're going to go to med school and they really want to help people. And that's a great goal in life. And obviously being a doctor is worthy of going after it. However, a lot of these people change quickly when they take OChem, organic chemistry, for the first time their sophomore year, and it's not a lot of fun. And obviously med school is not a lot of fun. Med school is probably the 4 hardest academic years of anyone's life that they could ever participate in. So anything you do, or the music example, music is obviously everybody likes music. But if somebody, really wants to get into that field, it is a hard, painful process for most people, of a lot of hard work. As Nadia said, a lot of even rejection, a lot of obstacles are going to be in the way. So that's something that has to be accounted for. But the other thing too is just the idea that everybody has one passion or there's one, thing that you should be trying to find, I think is ridiculous. And a lot of times, our culture, media promotes this, but throughout your life, you're going to you have different little careers. You're going to have different things that appeal to you. You're going to change over time. You're going to be inspired by things. And as Nadia said, the people you work with overall are going to drive a lot of your enjoyment of what you do and, service you provide. So I would advise, rather than trying to find the perfect passion, to do lots of things. And that's the best way to figure out your path.
Well, let me ask you, Matt, I guess, which comes first for most people, passion or work?
I think work comes first. I think doing something comes first, and then in the process of doing something and completing a task or going through a challenging part, it's amazing how much your passions will change, or you will realize how much you enjoy things you may have never thought you liked.
So how do we change the lingo? What do you say instead of I'm passionate about this, right? Second question, when do you know that you've reached the point where you can genuinely and confidently say, this is my passion?
Yeah, I say this a lot. If I could go back in time, I did a lot of things when I was in college or even high school of that age. If I could go back in time, I would have even done more. I think you never hurt yourself by just trying lots of different things and actually, trying to be good at several different things. I think I think the main theme I would say is this goes back to, do you ever figure something out by procrastinating and trying to and overthinking and trying to find some vague thing out there that is going to motivate you? The answer is no. I've always heard of kids that after graduation, they travel to Europe to find themselves. Everybody that's ever done that has come back and said, yeah, it didn't work. Walking around or sitting on a couch trying to figure out what it is that I'm supposed to do in life is usually, I don't know of any example where it's actually worked out well. There's probably some story of some guy who was like, I don't know, I guess Newton had an apple fall on his head. That inspired him. But most people are not going to have that kind of experience. The way you basically figure out things is doing lots of different stuff, not having fear, not procrastinating, not coming up with rationalizations as to why this may not be my perfect little thing, and just go after it and put yourself out there. That's my answer. What do you think?
No, that's good. And to your point, I mean, Personally, I'm 23, recently graduated from college. I'm involved with things, and even though I do put my heart into things that I do, I would not use the word passion for any of those things.
Because you're going into the financial advising field, right?
I am. Yep, sales and the finance field, and I'm excited for it, and it's going to be great. But I haven't had enough time in that field specifically. Not enough time, not enough experience to tell you if I'm passionate about that.
You'll enjoy the aspect of building a business. You'll enjoy the aspect of helping people and seeing people's financial situation improve and feeling like I provided a service. But you don't, in your spare time, you don't like sitting around studying the S&P 500
Right.
And reading books on market equities and all this stuff.
Right. Definitely not my Saturday afternoons. And I do have a lot of interests, right? I love going to the gym. I love being outside. I love doing things with friends, all of these different things, but I wouldn't call those things passions. I would say what I am passionate about, and this is an internal thing more than, and I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to this. I am passionate about finding what I love. Like that's what I'm passionate in my soul about, things that are going to help me. But I wouldn't say that those are outside external things necessarily.
Exactly.
Right. And I think that's a problem that people conflate interests with passions.
Exactly.
With interest in trying things, it's easy to get discouraged when things don't click the way that you think they're supposed to, right? And so with all of this being said, with, taking a little bit of the seriousness out of the word passion, don't let that, my advice would be to not let that change your excitement for trying things and for actually diving into things and taking some of the pressure off of, is pottery going to be what I do for the rest of my life? Or is this just something I'm going to do in my free time? Something that's going to make me feel good, that I'm going to enjoy, right? Instead of putting all of this pressure on this being my thing, I think it's important to just go out with a light heart and enjoy.
So back to my example of the person who I sort of joked about that's passionate about music. It's okay if we're not implying they should not do that or not pursue that dream or goal, but get excited about becoming a really good guitar player versus, and realize that's going to be hard and challenging, and make that a fun game to become the best you can be at playing guitar versus just over focusing on this is my passion, so this is the way it's going to be. That's my advice.
Passion is not this, and then we're always like, well, we're not saying don't do this like 3 times. But I think it's the right way to go about it, honestly.
I also think usually the examples of people that end up quote unquote following their passions, they start off doing something else and or something involved with it, and then they sort of eventually either quit that job or branch out into something because they're good at it, or that's just what I don't know. I guess my argument would be you don't think yourself into anything. You just, once again, you do it and you sort of know that this is what I want to do.
Until you get to the point where you can, for me, once I'm excited about it and I can explain it to people and I want to teach other people about it, that's when I feel like I'm on the edge of passion, of like, this is something that really, really excites me. But like you said, it's really difficult to say, this is what I'm passionate about, because passion as a word itself seems like such a permanent, long-lasting thing. I guess, Matt, how do you know that you've reached a passion for something?
I think it would depend on how much, number one, how much time have you invested in this? Really, actually, real time invested trying to pursue it, or spending time doing it, and it depends on the example. The other one would be, and how much emotional energy have you poured into it as well? Have you done enough that you've experienced some setbacks? That would be a good litmus test, I guess, a good line. If you've actually experienced some setbacks or some frustrations with it, and you're still really excited about pursuing it or getting good at this particular activity, or the example before, if the OChem, organic chemistry thing, if even if it was hard, if somebody took organic chemistry and they were still every bit as excited about being a doctor, that would be a good sign that maybe this is a good field for them. Same thing I could do with music or playing an instrument or taking singing lessons or actually writing songs. And I think trying to figure out what you're passionate about is a ridiculous task that you'll just end up going in circles and you'll never figure out anything. However, by doing lots of different things, when does interest become a passion? I think you sort of know. And also when you're spending all your time, basically, even if you're working another job, but you're spending all your time thinking about this other thing, that would be, and you've actually done some things with it, then that would be where it sort of starts to happen naturally. I guess my take on it is this will happen naturally if it really is a passion, if you actually get out there and do things, rather than this idea that somebody at the age of even 18 to 21 is supposed to figure out their quote unquote passion for life. And I think sometimes that's sort of projected down from educational institutions or even culture media, that you're supposed to find what you're meant to do. And I don't think you can find it and then do it. I think you have to go out there, do a lot of things, and it will naturally happen. Music sounds really good until you actually try to write a song for most people. And then they realize it's not that easy. And a lot of times what they write isn't very good, but that's normal. But if they're still excited about trying and putting themselves out there or getting better at singing or playing an instrument, that would be a good sign. So the amount of time you put into it, the amount of emotional energy, and if you've experienced some setbacks, that would be a good test, I believe.
Good point.
So moral of the story, don't sit around hoping to find your passion. Do lots of things, do hard things. You'll figure it out. Things that I thought I was passionate about at the age of 17 and what became when I was 25, even, it's night and day. And the way you figure that out and find the real path is just to put yourself out there and do lots of things, and don't rationalize and don't procrastinate.